Hey skiers, I'm Jeff from skiessentials.com.
I'm Bob. How's it going?
Welcome back to our Top 5 Fridays weekly ski industry news videos. Been a pretty good week here in Stowe.
Yeah, we've gotten to go skiing every day, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's great. Great to be back on snow. Conditions, it's kind of one of those situations where conditions just get marginally better each day.
Yeah, and we were remarking today how the natural snowpack is pretty stout now.
Yeah,
So-
I'll find that picture of you sticking your pole in the ground and put it up right now.
That was fun.
We're starting to build some base up there at the top of the mountain. Before we get into this week's news, just a quick note. Each year we do a fundraiser, kind of between Thanksgiving and Christmas. The benefit of that fundraiser is local youth ski programs. So we basically split the money up and give it to 5 youth ski programs in Stowe and the 4 neighboring immediate towns. It's really good. We don't raise like a crazy amount of money, but last year, I believe each program got about $1,000, which actually goes a really long way for them.
Yeah, and they're super appreciative too. I mean, these are kids that wouldn't normally.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The equipment is a barrier, and so we break that down, and it's great.
It literally gets like probably 25 to 30 kids on snow each season that wouldn't otherwise be able to. We also donate a lot of lease packages as well. But anyways, this year's fundraiser just started today. We actually did a smaller portion of the fundraiser at a local event a few weeks ago. Now we're just doing a pretty simple online raffle. Each ticket is $10. I think we have 7 different prizes. You could win a head core, forget which width.
So really 91, I think.
Yeah, 91. Some really nice Smith goggles, some bindings, all sorts of stuff.
Yep.
Tickets are only $10, so pretty easy to snag a ticket. And we're going to announce the winners either like Christmas Eve or Christmas itself. So
that would be fun.
Yeah, so you could buy a couple raffle tickets as Christmas presents.
Yep.
I think I'm going to do that.
Yeah, I bought them last year. I didn't win anything.
That means you're going to win something this year. Bob's wife in particular is very good at winning raffle
Well, that was the problem, is that I bought them last year and she did not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now you know.
We'll switch that up.
And with that said, I think we can get right into the news. I will leave a link to that fundraiser in the description to this video, as I always do. So first topic of the week, FIS World Cup roundup. Lots going on in the FIS ski racing world. We've had races, we've had cancellations, we've got a bunch of scheduled events this weekend. It's just a lot going on.
Yep.
Probably most notably, the Killington World Cup was last weekend. We talked about it quite a bit last Friday going into that. Unfortunately, the giant slalom was canceled. They put, I think I was watching it live, and I think they sent 7 or 8 skiers down and then canceled it.
It was just too windy.
Yeah, it was gnarly.
Yeah.
And I feel like I don't really know how these decisions are made in the ski racing world. I know that a lot of the time it's just for safety.
Yeah.
I wondered if it was for like level of fairness.
I was wondering that too, whether if someone gets the tailwind.
Right, because it seemed like certain skiers were getting like just massive uphill gusts and like couldn't go anywhere.
Right.
Which doesn't feel fair in ski racing, but I'm sure one of you can clarify in the comments.
And it could just be safety, that they didn't want people getting blown off course.
Or is it to level the playing field? Not sure. Anyways, the slalom went down pretty smoothly on Sunday. Petra and Michaela battled it out, as they have been pretty much all season, or really for a few seasons now. Really exciting racing, Bob. I know I asked you earlier, and you didn't watch it live, but it's pretty entertaining.
Yeah, and those two, and Michaela especially, just keep separating themselves. Yeah. Which is crazy.
Yeah. Watching this week's slalom race was a reminder to me of the commitment that's required if you want to watch ski racing live.
Yep.
Because the first run and the second run don't happen one after another.
Right.
There's a 4-hour break. So I had to be committed to being in front of a TV at 2 different times in the day.
Yeah.
But I was really glad that I did. Michaela was trailing by 0.2 seconds after run 1, 21/100ths of a second. She put down a scorcher of a run 2 that kind of put the pressure on Michaela, or on Petra rather. Petra had the advantage going into run 2. Michaela skied really well. She made one incredible recovery, super upright, body rotated outside, turning on the outside edge of her inside ski, completely not what you're supposed to be doing, and didn't lose any time. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, the people that can find speed in those things, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, where some skiers were skied out of the course,
right?
And Michaela went faster somehow. Right. Kind of put the pressure on Petra, and Petra made a pretty big mistake, which cost her about a second. It was kind of in the first part of her run, the first third of her run. So it was as soon as she made the mistake, you could hear the crowd just yep, that was it. She did bring some time back, but Michaela took the win. That means she tied Stenmark's record of 46 wins in a single discipline.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah,
she's got
very impressive.
A career ahead of her too.
She's got a lot of years ahead of her. Yep. Paula Moltzen skied really, really well. She took 7th overall. It was super fun watching her just stay in the mix. Just really solid 2 runs. First and second run were both really good. The women are now in Lake Louise for 2 downhills and a Super G. On the men's side, they were in Lake Louise last weekend. Only 1 race happened. All the others were canceled. Ryan Cochran-Siegel took 10th in the downhill there. So nice to see Ryan Cochran-Siegel back on snow after his injury and skiing really well. Yesterday they had a Super G at Beaver Creek. Another Super G today at Beaver Creek, which may be wrapping up shortly. Can't remember the exact time. And then a downhill too. Ryan led the U.S. again in yesterday's Super G with a 19th.
I read that 25% of men's speed events are happening at Beaver Creek or something like that.
For the whole season?
Yeah, for the whole season.
Huh, that's interesting. It's amazing that they have snow.
Right.
And they must have been blowing snow on that trail for a while because it's been pretty warm out there.
Impressed with Killington too for pulling off a World Cup race in Vermont in November.
Yeah, no, they did a great job, and it was good for the viewing, I thought, because it really looked like winter.
Right.
It got pretty cold and blustery that weekend, and it wasn't like there was green trees and grass in the background. It looked like winter. So good for Killington probably. That's it for FIS news. Next up is kind of touching on a topic that we talked about a few weeks, or actually probably a few months ago. Park City Ski Patrol Union is demonstrating for fair wages. So this is kind of as a result of pay increases to Vail and Altera, and kind of surrounding ski areas. You're seeing wage increases even in places like Burger King and stuff like that. Yeah. So this demonstration or these protests are kind of bringing attention to the fact that current ski patrol starting wage is the same as positions that require far less expertise.
Yeah. So. And it's hard putting a value judgment on any employee's job. You don't want to say that this person is more important or better than. Yep. So it's touchy in that regard. But, who would you want to pay more? The person that's responsible for saving your life or someone else?
Or the person that's cooking your hamburger?
Right. I mean,
it depends how much you like hamburgers.
And there's some pretty good hamburgers out there at the lodges. I'm not going to say that that's not important. And a super, important part of skiing is that whole lodge experience. But
I do think they've got a pretty good point here.
Well, it's a unique combination of skills that these patrollers have.
Yeah, exactly.
And even more so out west when avalanche mitigation is taking into account.
Yeah.
But you have to be an EMT, you have to be a skier, you have to have knowledge of the mountain, and you have to be a good worker and committed. It's a pretty specific skill set.
My guess is that this is going to result in some wage increases for them. Not affecting daily operations right now, but obviously a full ski patrol labor strike would halt operations pretty darn quickly.
Yep, sure would.
Not opening that mountain. And that would be similar to what we saw at Hunter last January, if you remember that whole debacle.
Yeah, that was interesting too.
Yeah. And with that brings us to our third topic of the week, which is a little bit more somber. It kind of feels like an annual reminder. Avalanche safety. We're getting right into Avalanche season. People are excited to get out in the backcountry. This is just a general reminder to be safe out there, get your training done, all that stuff. Listen to experts. Earlier this week, Banff Sunshine Village Resort was forced to close due to extreme avalanche danger. They just couldn't get out and do their avalanche mitigation. It was just like too bad, so they just closed the whole mountain. 3 snowmobilers were caught in an avalanche in the northern Canadian Rockies, one of whom passed away. So it's here. Avalanche season is here.
Yeah, and I don't know much, I don't know much about it. I've never done a course or anything, but I follow a lot of the backcountry and avalanche safety organizations, and I love watching them do their snowpack, evaluations and stuff like that. And it's really just interesting new knowledge for me.
Right.
That I think is pretty cool. I mean, we don't have to worry about it all that much where we are.
Yeah, not much. Every once in a while, if you're skiing off the chin on Mansfield, you'll get a slide. Actually, East Coast slides can be very dangerous.
Right. Well, the Mount Washington one is one of the ones that I follow. So there's definitely a lot there.
Yeah. If you're going for a slide off the chin on Mansfield, you're getting pummeled into rocks and trees in 50 feet.
Yeah, it's all bad news.
Yeah, avalanches aren't great anywhere. No. Just a reminder, if you're going out into the backcountry this season, if you think you're going to be in a situation like this, or even if you're not sure and you think you might be in a situation like this, it's a great idea to go take an Avi course. Like Bob said, there's a ton of resources out there, so bookmark those on your desktop and on your phone, and just be smart.
Yep.
I would hate to have to report avalanche deaths in every Top 5 Fridays this year.
Right.
So let's try not to have that happen. And then fourth topic of the week, Sarah Hoefflin, who's been in Top 5 Fridays quite a bit recently, she shared her thoughts on women's free ski contests with newschoolers.com. Few different thoughts from Sarah, which I thought were really interesting. First, she thinks the sport's in a really great spot right now. There's been a ton of progression in women's free skiing, and I think particularly slopestyle in the last 3 to 4 years. Go back 3 to 4 years, almost nobody was doing doubles in competition. Now there's multiple competitors with multiple doubles, both direction doubles. So the sport has grown a lot and it's level, but it hasn't grown so much that it's hard to understand.
Right.
So that's kind of where she was saying it's in a great spot. Men's slopestyle skiing or men's free skiing right now is crazy, which is really cool. But it can be if you were watching, not to say anything negative about your knowledge of skiing, but I would venture a guess that you would have a hard time differentiating between a double cork 1440 and a double cork 1800.
I could probably do that. It's the more subtle stuff that I don't get. I can count the flips and the spins. Maybe not in real time.
It's tough. It's tough when they're spinning real fast.
Yeah. There's so many more variations now that I don't even know about.
Yeah.
That someone else would be like, "Oh, we did that thing," and I'm like, "I don't even know what that is."
Well, even commentators, I watched the last the fifth slopestyle event, and I hate to say it, don't like to say anything bad about anybody's commentating, but guy had no clue what he was watching, which for somebody like me who coaches in that avenue, it's a little bit frustrating. I think it's frustrating from the athlete perspective too, when they do a crazy trick and they've been working on it for years, and then the announcer calls it something drastically different. Right. There were a ton of 16s that were called 12s.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the thing for me. But anyways, back to this topic. Sarah's really saying that women's park skiing is great right now because it's more relatable, it's easier to watch, but it's still very, very impressive.
Yeah.
Reminded me a lot of women's golf.
Right.
As a golfer and a fan of golf, I really enjoy watching women's golf because it's easier for me to relate to the women hitting the ball
yeah.
than like Justin Thomas and Rory McIlroy hitting the ball. Like
right.
Never will be able to do that, but I can dream about hitting a 3 hybrid 220 onto the green.
Yeah.
So go watch some women's park skiing if you're not a big park fan. You might find that it's very entertaining. She also talked a little bit about how she thinks competitions should be more condition and wind dependent. So wind and snow conditions can cause really dangerous competition conditions. I think particularly for women because they're lighter. There's been a lot of slope styles in recent years where they hold the competition, all the men can clear the jumps, but the women really struggle to clear the jumps, and that's really dangerous. So
yeah.
She kind of talked about that as a potential barrier of entry, more like a mental thing for new skiers that watch it on TV and see a bunch of people falling and getting hurt. Like, doesn't really seem like something you want to do.
Right.
So kind of some interesting thoughts from Sarah Hoefflin there. And that's it for topics this week. Finally, we have our edits of the week. We got 5 edits this week. First one is Flow from Sam Favre.
Yeah, I agree that is the correct pronunciation.
Really tried to do our research on this one this time. Second edit of the week is Return of the Turn, episode 10, Midgad.
Yeah, cool little double lift at Snowbird that I remember going up when I was a young kid and thinking it was pretty darn steep and unapproachable at that point.
And skiing it just like Marcus Caston
I don't
did.
think that was the case.
Anyways, yeah, really cool. All the Return of the Turn edits are really good, as I'm sure you guys know. I thought this one was really cool because there was a lot of him just talking about like growing up there and just how that's like the most challenging terrain on the mountain, but it's like at the bottom.
Right. Yeah, just a lower lift that goes up, and and it's also cool seeing like resort skiing in these videos. There's so much unapproachable stuff like the drone video, like
right.
How many of us are going to get Chamonix all to ourselves, but we can all, conceivably go to Snowbird and ride that lift.
That stuff. Yeah, exactly. And take a camera out and film it. And then we have Matatabi from Hoga Hoshino, which is, I've never heard of Hoga. My apologies if I'm mispronouncing that one. But really good skiing and a really cool combination of urban and street skiing with some powder and just tremendous athlete, obviously. And then we have Simply from Laurent Desmartin. Laurent Desmartin.
That sounds right to me.
The last one I think was better, which is really good. And then finally ending things out with Candide Thovex and a short little edit called Swiss Trees.
Yeah, another crazy, just high-speed adventure.
He's just such a little cat.
Yeah.
Such a lightweight, cat-like guy.
There's like one instance where he like slightly loses balance, and like you were talking about with Michaela, like able to just reconstitute and move forward.
Turns it into something
right.
cool.
Yeah, it's crazy.
When I make a mistake, I feel like I'm gonna tear my ACL. When they make a mistake, it's like the coolest thing ever.
Right, they go faster.
Yeah. So that's it for edits of the week. Anything exciting going on this weekend, Bob? Aside from a lot of ski racing and stuff like that.
Yeah, kids hockey. So be driving around northern Vermont and watching the kids play. So that's fun.
Sweet.
Maybe some afternoon skiing.
I'll be out there at Stowe coaching tomorrow. So if you happen to be skiing Stowe tomorrow, look out for me and a bunch of little teenagers.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, it should be a good time. So that's it for Top 5 Fridays. Hope you guys get out on snow this weekend, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye.